my kittens, this is our cat's gay. So, over the past few weeks, there have been many trials and tribulations flying in the dark corners of Twitter. So, basically business as usual, right? I will not be specific, but in a nutshell, things have changed enough that I have decided, after deep deliberation, to make a contentious statement. As the title of this video states explicitly, I am the father of GGTOW, gays going their own way. I have always been fairly clear that I was the one who coined the term, but for a long time I shared the credit, to the extent that it exists, of this idea. I did this in good faith, but I have come to the realization that I was in error, so I'm going to be frank. You cannot claim to be the father of GGTOW if you do not identify as a GGTOW, and have said so repeatedly and publicly. Neither of us would or ever have claimed to be the first ones to put forward the idea of gay men self-determining our identities and splitting from the increasingly intersectional rainbow hive mind of mainstream LGBTQIA++ hashtag asterisk parentheses magnesium soy frappuccino enema community. There have always been individuals, dreamers and rebels, and even other movements like the Androphiles and the Radical Fairies prior to their corruption, making GGTOW as a concept merely the newest strain of an old idea. So why am I bothering to say any of this? Why bother kicking the hornet's nest over something that could be argued as superficial labeling, which I am ostensibly opposed to? Because at the current moment in time and space, gay men need a swift kick in the ass. We have allowed ourselves and our community at large to be overrun and mutated from broad acceptance and support of each other into a crab tank of infighting and unrelated, incompatible interest groups. I'm not going to belabor the point as to why gay men have little in common with lesbians and even less in common with the transgender movement. Beneath the platitudes and the fear of ostracization, it's fairly obvious that the LGBT etc. barely values men, except for surgical men, of course. So again, why bring this up? I am making the point that I, our cat's gay, not only coined the term GGTOW, but am also the actual founder of the movement to the extent that it exists today, because I truly believe in and live the life of GGTOW. True, I am not the first to question the rainbow. And true, I'm not the first to leave. True again, I'm not the most famous of that number. Others have lent influence and exposure to the idea, and could fairly argue to have spread the idea further than I could on my own. But again, you can't claim to be the father of a movement you don't belong to. It would be like trying to argue that Sigmund Freud was the father of psychoanalysis if he didn't actually believe in his own theories. At that point, no one would call him the father of psychology if he merely advocated for it while not actually accepting it as true and saying as much publicly. At best, they would call him a popularizer, but a more accurate word at that point would have been hypocrite or charlatan. Now, obviously Freud in fact did believe in his own theories because they were, his. But I had to illustrate how utterly absurd it is to claim ownership over something that you are not personally invested in enough to even call yourself that thing. GGTOW is important because gay men have been largely uprooted from our community and put at the bottom of the intersectional feminist hierarchy because we have male privilege. Now we are increasingly being assaulted with homophobic tirades from trans activists that want to force us to sleep with them, or at least state publicly that we want to, taking away our spaces and taking over our organizations. No, not interested. Fuck off. This gay man has his balls, and he isn't interested in any of that shit you guys are peddling. You can keep the rainbow. You've turned a universal symbol of acceptance into a disease vector for tribalistic misandry and bigotry. We GGTOWs are finding each other, supporting each other, because no one else will, and we don't care what you think. This doesn't mean we hate trans people or women. It doesn't even mean we don't like or accept feminine men. It means we are self-determining our worth and our actions, and are no longer interested or feel the need to consult the high oracles of the old movement. Gay culture, as classically defined by many of us, is largely dead. The drag circuit, the pride parades, the bars, the obsession with fashion and upscale city life, they're all still there, but they are the shadows of their former self and have been eroded by time and politics. They are never coming back, and even if they do, they have been too thoroughly corrupted by social justice. Gay culture was defined by a common understanding of what it meant to be gay, which isn't complicated. dudes that like dudes. But now the rainbow elites have accepted the idiotic idea that gender is a social construct, and that makes sense for women and trans people to be on Grindr. That Desmond is amazing is anything but tragic and ominous. They are lost. I am not claiming to be the leader of this movement because GGTOW isn't a political cause. It's a depoliticization of sexuality and a return to individuality and acceptance of masculinity. I am saying that I am the father of GGTOW because I want people to understand that this is serious and that there are men who deeply believe in this movement. And frankly, it makes the movement, such that it is, look disingenuous if its father doesn't even believe in it. That's it for now. If you like this, click the bell. Like it, love it, hate it, you already watched it. You can't unwatch it. Thank you for watching.